What is going on, guys? If you had a chance to try out Firestorm at all this week, I'm sure you're well aware of how painful the looting can be. I think it's the biggest complaint I've heard from the community right now, and it's definitely top of my list of problems for Firestorm. Not to rant more than what we've already heard from the community this week, but I've had my share of situations where I'm trying to pick up a certain weapon on the ground, end up picking up the wrong gun and dying shortly afterwards. I think my strat right now is to completely avoid looting players after I kill them. I think that's probably a good strat regardless of how well the looting gets improved, but definitely right now. The good news is the developers seem to be pretty aware of this, and next week we'll be seeing our first improvement of this looting system. Now, I will note that this is just the first iteration to relieve a bit of the pain of the looting right now, while I'm sure they are taking in the players' feedback, whether we're going to be seeing a loot box on the ground or a system that's visually similar to what we have right now, with loot spread out on the ground to be clearly seen, but with improvements of how we interact with that loot. I'll talk more what I think about these ideas in a second, but Battlefield's Twitter posted again just a quick fix while developers sort out the real improvement, and we see the style we currently have on the left and the new system coming next week on the right. So now we see the loot is spread out a bit more. Again, this isn't the end result, but let's be honest, the looting is pretty bad in Battlefield right now, so any improvement, in my opinion, is a big improvement. It appears like these items have more physics to them. As you see, they are bouncing around more around the table and wall here. I imagine developers use the worst possible place on the map that you'd want to be looting a dead body. You know, in a corner next to different items like a chair and a table as an example. So I imagine if you're out in an open field, we'll probably see even more substantial spread. Again, I want to stress that this is just a quick thing they can do right now, and I think they want to take in for this week the community feedback to resolve specifically this issue. The two main sides I've heard were some people want improvements in the looting system we already have, but essentially it was the same visuals of the loot spread out on the ground. This makes it much easier to identify and figure out what's worth looting and not looting, sparing you precious time of possibly exposing yourself to enemy fire. I've also heard suggestions on making an option to choose if you want to just hover over the loot, and that would automatically pick it up on the ground. The other side I heard is a loot box of some sort, whether it's a loot box or some other Battlefield 5 version of this, but one single item to keep things compact and simple when it comes to looting, as if items get spread out too much, you'll have to still move around and find the loot, and despite it visually being on the ground, it's still at the end of the day spread out, and it's not orderly like in a full list top to bottom where it would easily appear once you access that specific loot box. Now, I know I might not be representing your view on this exactly and giving every detail perfectly. Like, for instance, I'm sure those who want to be able to hover around loot to pick it up don't mean you just pick up everything that you run over on the ground, but specific things that are already in slots that need to be filled, like ammo or bandages you already have equipped. But essentially, people want to be able to see what's there worth looting and not spend a million years doing so. For me, I personally like the Apex Legends style where there's a loot box on the ground, but it's color coded, so you knew if you killed a player with high tier gold loot, you'd see a gold color loot box on the ground. I know that might not be as an exhaustive form of information that some players who prefer the visual style of loot on the ground to pick up from, so maybe to kind of improve this, there might be a little bit more information on the loot box, like the specific type of armor and bandages, and maybe the ammo type that you have presently equipped with your gun. Whatever works, in my opinion. I don't really care. I'm pretty open-minded to whatever type of improvements come here, because in my opinion, anything is an improvement to what we have right now. I do know that even if we still end up having a loot box, it's still going to be pretty tedious to go in there and have to scroll up and down what loot we want to pick from, and the players who would prefer just to run over the loot and have that, you know, pick up and equip instead might be the better way to go, but you know, I'm so open-minded to whichever way, because again, anything is better than what we have right now. But feel free to let me know what you guys think would improve the looting system in the comments down below. But I always appreciate you guys being here. I am Livin', and I'll catch you guys again later.